Hey there, Nathan Schock with Dr. Nathan Unruh to talk about customer experience. I mean, that's what we usually talk about, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things that Joe Pine and Jim Gilmore, who are our gurus at this, some of the people that we've learned the most from over the years, they talk about these levels of experience that to start with, and they've got the S's.
Yeah.
So to start with, you have to eliminate customer sacrifice.
Yeah.
Then on top of that, you can build customer satisfaction.
Yep.
But then once you achieve that, because satisfied customers are not necessarily loyal customers,
Yeah.
the next one is customer surprise. And as I think about, your businesses, I think you've been really good at designing that into the experience of how do you just give them something they totally weren't expecting.
Yeah.
But then, as we know, today's surprise becomes tomorrow's expectation.
Yeah.
Right? So after you've done the same surprise, how do you go up a level? The fourth S is suspense.
Yeah.
Customer suspense. So how do you bring them now, like something out of left field?
Yeah.
And what really jogged these thoughts in my brain was we took a family vacation to Chicago, and we got to go to a Starbucks Reserve. And there's a brand that has become synonymous with customer experience.
Yeah.
But earlier, as we were talking, you asked a great question. Do you really think of them that way anymore?
Yeah.
And maybe just tell me, like, what, because I agree with you,
Yeah.
but you think about what was an amazing experience 25 years ago, a coffee shop,
Yeah.
is now, I mean, in our town of 200,000, how many coffee shops do you think there are?
Oh, a lot.
50?
Yeah. Yeah.
And does that really stand out anymore?
Right. Yeah, well, I think that Starbucks, obviously, iconic brand.
Yep.
But it's, the old book by Jim Collins on the Mighty Fall.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And if you don't have constant intention around how are you going to distinguish yourself on experience, pretty soon you just become pretty ho-hum, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to knock you off.
Yep.
And so I think that, how are these companies really trying to make sure, like you said, what's the suspense?
Yeah.
What's the next level of surprise?
Yep.
And there's different ways to do this by just training your people on language.
Right.
It's looking at the 5 components of the senses. It's really systematizing the experience,
Yes.
being intentional about that.
Yeah.
So Starbucks did this though,
Yeah.
didn't they?
Yeah.
So you went to Chicago,
That's
they did
right.
this, so talk about that.
Yeah, it's one of the 5 Starbucks Reserves in the world. The others are like Milan, London, and it's down on Michigan Ave. So we were there. It was close enough to Christmas that,
Yeah.
you're on that Miracle Mile. And it's 4 stories. So you walk in and immediately, you talk about you're hit with that coffee, the coffee smell. But first of all, I should say to get in, the line was out into the street. So it's 4 stories with a rooftop deck.
Yeah.
And in each story, they have a different focus. There's food on this level. There's innovative coffee drinks on this level. And the very top is a bar focused on coffee, alcohol drinks.
Yeah.
And the attention to detail was pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And my kids, one of whom is one of those coffee shop baristas here in town, just came away with a totally different opinion of Starbucks. To her, again, she hasn't been around for 25 years.
Right.
So she doesn't know that they were the innovators up front.
Right.
And when she looks, she sees, I don't even like them as much as some of these local places.
Right.
But she got a totally new experience here. And oh, by the way, for my family of 4, I think we spent 60 or $70
Yeah.
on coffee. So it was a great lesson about, again, how do you continue to innovate up?
Yeah.
And if you think about, your business that's been around for 20 years, and the first time a birthday surprise is a big deal.
Yeah.
And maybe the second time it's appreciated.
Yeah.
But by the 14th time,
Yeah.
What are you going to do
Right.
to just continue to innovate?
Yeah, and I think that's where you have to, this is where the conversations have to be had.
Yeah.
How are we concentrating always on the 20%? The 20% of things that are not our regular business.
Right.
And think outside the box. Have fun with it. And you know, when you get multiple people involved in this, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. And you think about, obviously, you may not be able to go build a 4-story building on Michigan Ave.
Right.
But maybe you take your customers to a new place.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not thinking about what you do for them, but it's a new experience for them.
Yes.
But so the main message I want you to hear here is don't get in a rut.
Yeah.
That's too easy.
And I would say this too, is that every interaction with your business have to be like fireworks going off or this big surprise? The answer is no. You have to have a consistently above average experience to create loyalty for customers.
Yep.
Consistently above average. So what does that look like? Like Shep Hyken talks about, if you're rating the experience on 5, it needs to be a 3.3. Right? Now you get a 3.3 consistent experience. You're creating loyalty. Now you go throw the surprise in and you throw the suspense in.
Yep.
That's what creates an iconic brand. And that's what the Starbucks of the world, that's what the Ritz-Carltons, that's what the Four Seasons are all around.
Yeah,
right?
Great, because with Starbucks, there's 5 of these. Mm-hmm. There's 25,000 stores.
Right.
So where are people going to interact with the brand more?
Yes.
At the regular store staffed by 18 to 22-year-olds.
Yeah. Well, and look at what's happening right now, Nathan. We're sitting here talking about it.
Yep.
Your daughters will never forget that visit, and it will change the way they look at that brand forever. Yeah. Every time they drive by of the 25,000 Starbucks, go visit the ones in our own hometown. It connected to them, to that brand.
That's right. And that's that last S, suspense. Yeah. Because once you get that brand operationally sound, the 80%, now it's that 20% where you're really having fun and you're innovating to build on top of that operational excellence. So that's the message I want you to hear today. How are you innovating your already good experience and making it something that people will never forget?